Alright, these are all of the worms that I was able to get while I was cleaning up some leaves on this lady's property. Little side job that I took in. And look at the size of some of these. Biggest worms I've ever seen. But all free worms, can't beat that. That was the mother load right there. So many I can't even get. My cup is getting full. That's not a worm right there. It's like a millipede. Pretty sure those things sting you. Oh yeah, there's some big ones. These worms are all up in here. This is pretty much castings right here. Some free castings. I'm gonna go ahead and take this and put it in the garden. I cannot believe I found all of these worms for free. If I was to buy this, it'd probably be $50, $60 worth of worms. There's some big worms in here. Cannot believe it. So if you're trying to find some worms, check underneath some old leaf piles. These were all on the concrete. So if there's some leaves that's been on the concrete all year on the driveway and they're wet, go check it out. Might be able to find some free worms. This is too cool. I can't believe it. Look at that. It's the biggest worms I've ever seen. Some of them oaky night crawlers look like a small snake. Man, that's crazy. Alright, time to put them in their new home before they crawl away on me. I've been working all day. I'm exhausted. I really don't have time to make a whole new bin. So I'm just going to take these. This is some of the bedding that they were living in. I got probably about 20 gallons of this. And I'm going to go ahead and just use this for now. Put them in there. Keep them in there for a few days till I get caught up. And then I'll make a new bin. Alright guys, I'm working on bin number 4 for the night crawlers that I just came across when I was raking some leaves. This is bin number 3. I was in a rush, my worms came in, and I wasn't able to make a video of this bin and everything I put together. I don't have double bins. It's not winter time, so I'm really not worried about the insulation. But I went ahead and I put leaves on top of this. As you've seen in my previous video, I was putting leaves on the bottom, which I did that, but I put leaves up top. With these leaves up top, I've noticed that it keeps a lot more moisture and seems to keep the worms a lot more happier. So this is something that I'm going to start doing on some of my bins. The whole deal with leaves is when you get ready to harvest, and you kind of have a mess. You know, you have to harvest all the leaves. So still kind of experimenting with leaves and no leaves, but I really like the way that it keeps the moisture, and I really like the way that it keeps these worms just right up top. This bin has a lot more moisture. It seems like my worms are a lot more active than bin number 2, which is exactly the same setup but with no leaves. So this is going to be bin number 4 for the night crawlers. And I haven't been putting drain holes, but I'm going to put some small drain holes in this. Like I said, I'm doing different things, seeing what works the best. I have the smallest drill bit that I could come across. Just putting some drain holes. Put some drain holes right there in the center. Then I'm taking this like gunny sack. I just cut up a piece about 1.5 feet, 2 foot long. I'm gonna fold it up. Taking some chicken wire. Step on it. Now I'm going to put this over my drain holes, which, I mean, that doesn't do very much. I've had worms crawl through that, but my hole was a lot bigger, and also I had red wigglers, and they're smaller worms. So with these night crawlers, I don't think I'm going to have this problem. I don't think I'll have that issue, but we'll see. All right, now that I have my screen in place, I'm just going to take a brick, lay a brick over it. Basically, the brick is going to push down the area and cause all of the moisture, the water, to go towards where the weight's at in the center, and then that's where it'll drain at. I'll go ahead and put my cardboard down. All right, now that I have my cardboard, go ahead and put my leaves down. If you've watched any of my videos, you can see I have a pickup bed full of old leaves that I keep water on. And the worms love these leaves. You see how just dark and wet they are? I'll also throw some greens and some compost and stuff out of the garden. And go ahead and put my leaves over the cardboard. Alright, I didn't have any cardboard paper, but I had some grocery sacks, which is basically the same thing. Go ahead and set it on top of my leaves. Whenever I mix the compost, rice hulls, dry amendments, and I'm putting some peat moss in on this one, I know when I'm to the leaves. You see, I'm not mixing up everything and grabbing the leaves and mixing them up the rest of my mixture. The leaves stay on the bottom because as soon as I get to the cardboard paper, I know not to go any deeper, and it also prevents me from stirring up the leaves. So I keep all the leaves on the bottom. And that's basically the reason why I'm using this layer of cardboard paper to keep from mixing up the leaves in the rest of my mixture. So now it is time to add the 1/4 inch screen compost. Okay, now I'm going to run my compost through a 1/4 inch screen. Alright, I got my compost separated into 1/4 inch, screened at 1/4 inch. This is the leftovers. I'm using this in my garden, using this in the worm beds. So, time to put that in. Alright, now on top of the compost, I'm going to put the rice hull. Now on top of the rice hulls, I'm going to put some peat moss. On top of the peat moss, I'm going to put 1 cup of dry amendments. You want to be careful how much dry amendments you put on it, because once you put the dry amendments and you mix it with water, the dry amendments will cause it to heat up. I've accidentally put too much dry amendments on, and it caused my worm beds to be way too hot. All the worms were crawling up on top and balling up, which was a bad deal. So you got to be careful with how much dry amendments you use. It goes a long ways. Alright, now I'm going to mix it all up. This is all just a test to see how these night crawlers do and see if I can get them to reproduce and get the numbers up. I bought some night crawlers my first go around. I didn't have very much luck with them. I really like the red wigglers a lot more for composting. But these night crawlers that I just got would make some killer fish bait. I mean, they're massive worms. Alright, I got all that mixed up. Time to add some water. Now I'm going to add my night crawlers. This is just the soil that I gathered at the house that I was doing yard work at, that the night crawlers was in. That was just temporary. They don't seem to be doing too good. I think the soil that I had was just way too dry at the time. So I'm gonna put some of these wet leaves on top. See if I can get these night crawlers back active, back feeling better. Yeah, that was it. They were just way too dry. Took this bucket of water, just kind of got them wet. As you can see, that's all they needed. They were just dry. And that's it. Bin number 4 with the night crawlers.